Hey, Sarah.
Hey there, Joe.
Great. This is a great opportunity for us to get together for the first time and share with whoever's joined what we're working on and to learn some new technology in the meantime.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So I don't expect this to go super long, but I know everyone's busy and we have a tight agenda, but I want to just start with introductions. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Sarah Price, and I've spent the last 20 years as a registered nurse. And, although the spaces that I've been in have been pretty varied from neonatal ICU to more of the adult world of functional medicine, the one thing that I've seen in the last few years is how impactful psychedelics can be on a healing process. And I've seen that not only in myself, but I've seen it in others as well. And, part of that healing process is, allowing for a really open and healing environment. And so as legalization is starting to move forward, my personal interest is making sure that we can allow for that healing environment. And I see this as a really great way to focus on that. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, so I'm an attorney primarily focused on bankruptcy and litigation. I came to this space through representing cannabis clients in New Jersey, which has been possible for the last 7 or 8 years since there was medical marijuana, and then now we have an adult recreational market. So I represent clients in that market who are pursuing licenses. I help them get licenses and set up shop. And over 2 years ago, I discussed with my colleagues on the New Jersey State Bar Association's Cannabis Committee the fact that we should think about focusing on psychedelics. And we started the subcommittee on psychedelics, and that was about 6 months before there was a psilocybin bill introduced in New Jersey. So the timing was great, and it gave us some time to have guests on our subcommittee who are working across the country towards legalization or access, um, whether it's doctors, lawmakers, lawyers, and we think we've had through that subcommittee some impact on the progress of psychedelic law in New Jersey, and that brings us to today, where Sarah and I formed this group, the Psychedelic League, um, so we can really increase access to psychedelics in New Jersey, especially as we think we might have a market available in the coming years. So, really, what we're focusing on in Psychedelic League is local access. That means local governments, local communities. And this is a bit of a lesson learned from my practice representing cannabis clients. We originally thought we should focus on team building and making sure that we have all the expertise needed to convince the state of New Jersey that a group should get a cannabis license. But when the regulations came out on adult use cannabis, that was kind of flipped on its head. And really, what you needed to do and should have been doing all along was focusing on having municipalities embrace you to operate, a controlled substance business in their town. Next to next to any other business in their town, and in certain communities where they had no clue what cannabis was or what it was meant. What is the smell going to be like? What does this mean? Are we going to have people loitering, smoking weed on the street? Is it going to make us look like a rundown town? Is it going to increase costs to our first responders? Like, are we going to have to be busting people? What about drunk DUI with people? And all this concern. Now, 7 years later, we've had a legal market. We don't hear any of those concerns really. There's still a lot of confusion on the local levels, and still at least half of the municipalities don't allow for cannabis businesses to open in their towns. And that's what Psychedelic League is about. It's about, let's shortcut that. Let's go right to the towns and start educating them now. So then when we're in 2020, 2027, when the rubber hit the road, at least they have some understanding of what to expect.
Totally
So
making them much more welcoming.
yeah, I mean, you really have to educate the people who are going to be having these businesses in their towns, right? And there's a psilocybin bill pending in New Jersey right now, and under that bill, there's going to be generally two types of businesses that might be operating in their town. It's either going to be a psilocybin grower, they call it a manufacturer, or a psilocybin service center where the psilocybin would be administered. Um, and so we're going to want to make sure that mayors and town council and county officials understand what those businesses are from inside to out, right? And who they're going to be serving, and why they actually want to embrace it, right? Um, so let's go to our deck here and look at an overview of what we're trying to do here, what we're actively, what not what we're trying to do, what we're actively doing now. So let's start with our mission statement. So this is really all about local governments. And, from the start of this, Sarah, I really didn't want to step on anyone's toes who are already working in the space. There's already a lot of wonderful people working in their own lanes, trying to increase access in many different ways and support legalization. So, our goal really, the first noun here is the governments. Like, that's who we're looking to work with, right? And the way that we think that the governments can help is ultimately by understanding the health and how it can help the health and well-being of their communities. So, you want to walk through our objectives here?
Yeah, totally. So, first and foremost, we are here to remain nonpartisan, and we're here to sort of to facilitate these conversations with local governments. And we're going to do that by utilizing these trusted experts and local businesses, right? So, take people, as Joe said, who are already experts in specific areas, allow them to bring their expertise to these local governments so that they can better understand why they would want to welcome these businesses into their communities. Where does it benefit their community? What are the fears that they may have? How can we allay those fears with data, with research, et cetera? And then also to unlock the potential for these state regulated programs. One of the things, as Joe mentioned, with the cannabis bill previously, is the individual municipalities having a lot of confusion as far as what it would look like in their community. And what we love to see is the broadest use, the most healing environment possible, to where they don't feel fear that puts restrictions that are based on unfounded fear, fear of things that they've heard versus, realistic concerns based on data. So we really just want to allow for these programs to be the most healing programs that, that we have seen, that we may have experienced ourselves, and allow that to be what's accessible to the public.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a broad topic to tackle. Psychedelics is such a broad topic. And if you're trying to meet with a local government official, or anyone for that matter, you don't know which way your conversation is going to start. I never know. You and I speak with people almost every day about psychedelics, and you never know really where they're going to start. Even if they're pro psychedelics, they might have a hang up on an issue, and you'll need to understand that issue and address it. I think that's why we're really looking to focus on elevating our trusted experts and saying, we have people who know this specific issue that you're concerned about, and they've produced a breakdown for you that you can hopefully digest very easily. And we'd love you to talk with them to alleviate any fears you might have about that. And, I don't think we ever want to tell anyone that their fear is unfounded,
True.
Everyone has a right to their belief about what might happen, but I think we just want to give everyone working on the same set of information.
Absolutely. And there's certain pieces where there's a lot of misconceptions of what it is versus, what people who have been working with this extensively over the last several years have really seen. And maybe just kind of clarifying, what those are and what does the data really show us? What do we really see on the ground versus, what are the things that people may have heard that may not be backed by these kind of points.
Right. I mean, we know psychedelics need to be taken seriously, and there needs to be guardrails. That's I think we can generally agree on that. Not everyone would agree with that, but I think we can from the perspective of getting a state regulated model rolled out. So yeah, we're really looking forward to. I mean, we already have in the pipeline a lot of experts who have offered to contribute their knowledge, and we're looking to pull that into. I think the hardest part is pulling into a digestible format, so that when you meet with someone, if you have 30 minutes to meet with a mayor or a legislator, have it right in front of you. You know, we're all working off of the same basis of information. So let's see. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So let's talk about what we like want to do. You know, with that. And this is more of a kind of a. This is kind of more of like a like aspirational. Like what? How do we think this will make the industry better, make access better? And so, you know, you have set and setting, which is a general idea of your mindset when approaching a psychedelic experience, and the setting where you are. And then we threw in this one, which is kind of funny, savings, but it's true. You know, I think these are our focuses here. What I think it's like what we want that information to accomplish, right? And what we want those dialogues to accomplish. Or we want the set of the people who are involved to be optimal, right? We want the government officials who are going to be doing the lawmaking on the local side to understand, have their mind in the right place about what this really means, along with the community, you know, the people who are going to be having this in their backyard, as it were, and generally for the public, so they understand that this is something that they can access and what they should expect. And then the setting is really getting down to actual physical on the ground level. What does your zoning look like? What do your hours of operation look like? You know, where can these places exist? Right? There is going to be restrictions, undoubtedly, on where they can exist. It seems unlikely that you're going to be able to have a service center inside of a residence, right? So that's where setting comes in, right? And then savings is what we experienced in cannabis. One of the selling points when it came to approaching towns, when it came to New Jersey cannabis, was we can offer your township some revenue stream from these dispensaries that will likely offset any anticipated deficit to your budget. Expense to have first responders come out when people are breaking into dispensaries, or whatever the issue would have imagined would be. So, but we don't really have that under the current bill for psilocybin. So we, instead of actually like income to the town, we kind of have to talk about the inverse, which is savings. What are you saving? You know, and so I think the focus is really going to be, and data will probably support this, increased productivity. You have reduced anxiety and depression. You have increased productivity from your workforce and your infrastructure, and a decreased strain on health and behavioral services. You know, you're going to be able to offset that through a legal market for psychedelic wellness. You know.
Totally. And I think too, you know, some of the work that's being done with first responders right now is going to be really, really useful and interesting to see. I know that a lot of, whether it's police departments and fire departments, et cetera, you know, some towns and some states are struggling to, you know, meet their need in terms of hiring. And there's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of, you know, kind of, you know, health issues all wrapped up within that. That's kind of contributing to that. And how is it that psychedelics can help, you know, help these first responders who are really, you know, facing some of the more difficult parts of, you know, being, you know, in society. So how will it eventually help with retention?
Yeah, retention is that's exactly the right bucket, right? It's like retention, like decreased turnover. And we kind of know that data exists. We're going to just be relying on our network and our advisors to help us pull that together. And that's why we'll get into this next slide. It's like, what are the short-term goals then to meet this vision, to make it come together. And what we're actively doing now, just kind of organically, is developing a really robust local advisory board here in New Jersey. Right, we already have experts in their own rights, who are testifying in the legislature, who are regularly, presenting at conferences, and who are actively running businesses. And these are the people we want to give us the information to help us with the setting and savings that we went through before, right? Um, and then, in addition to having local advisors, we also would like to forge these strategic partnerships with groups that already have their own networks, and then we can have them provide us with data and resources strategically, and vice versa, which we so we can help each other and symbiotically push forward their mission statement. Um, and this third one, the data sheets. This is actually something that we recently worked on through the Psilocybin Coalition. One of our friends, Jamie Weir, took the laboring oar on that, which was, can we get a dense amount of material about psychedelics onto one page? It's a challenge, so these data sheets are going to be super helpful. We'd love them to be widely disseminated so that if anybody wants to know about anything when it comes to psychedelics, and they want to be armed with the right arguments to make if they have their own meeting with their legislators or their local government officials, this will be the resource they can take with them. They can download it, they can share it. And then discussions and interviews. This is the first of hopefully many, just like this, where we can jump on a call for a half hour, an hour, and go through some detailed information, and then have it be there online, be an evergreen resource. Hopefully this video will be watched in the future if people want to know what we're doing. I'm sure we'll be updating and revising all of these goals and everything, but generally, this is our goal, and we can point people to this video in the future. And the same thing goes for our advisors and our strategic partners. We'd love to have something like this for each one of them, so we can point people to a resource, and at scale let people know who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the last one, engaging with local government representatives. We have a couple already lined up, which is amazing. There have been some mayors and other people who have been super receptive to talking about this topic. And again, we'd love to approach them and meet with them and bring any relevant advisors or local referrers or contacts with us, and have a sit down. And it could be as informal as coffee with a mayor or a Zoom, or it could be as formal as going before the town council to just present the idea generally, not even with necessarily an agenda. Although we'll see that one of our long-term goals is going to be getting municipal resolutions in place that would reflect kind of the most appropriate setting, like we had talked about before.
Yeah, totally. I think also, just opening the door to facilitate the conversation. Again, as you said, with no agenda, but other than to let's educate and answer your questions and share these resources that we have, so you can better understand and make decisions for your municipality based on, a really resource perspective.
Yeah, it's nonpartisan. It's also not non-directive, maybe, almost, right? Which
I
is
love that.
which I don't think we've said before, but I think that makes the most sense. It's a non-directive conversation. We're not trying to tell you what to do. It should almost be like the answer just presents itself. Say, if psilocybin is being legalized and there is an industry, and if this is something that's part of your agenda, and this is something that you think will bring savings to the municipality, then we don't need to convince you of anything. It's just, you can do with that information what you will. Obviously, we would love it if every single municipality decided to embrace this, but that doesn't seem at all likely. I think we're going to have some people some towns which are just going to say no based on principle without looking at it. But for the ones who are on the fence, the swing voters, and for the ones who are gung ho about it, let's all make sure we are have the same talking points, you know?
Yeah, and have the resources to make those decisions. And that's what the just collaborative with all of these experts and all these great organizations that are out there doing amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many great organizations. I know you're linked up with some already, and there's just a lot of amazing people in this space. Generally, every day we speak to somebody who's amazing in their own right, and we'd love to just quickly have them as resources, like have them in an easy in an easy format for us to access, and for third parties to access. And it is a challenge. I mean, this is a decent amount of work to do this, but I think it's going to pay dividends for everyone. Um,
Totally.
and so our last slide here is involvement, right? So for anyone who's looking to get involved, we kind of have three asks or three offers, right? We've already we yesterday on the New Jersey State Bar Association subcommittee meeting, we had Joe McKay, who's well known for his humanizing personal story about cluster headaches, which are apparently the most painful thing you can have, and how psilocybin and other psychedelics treat it. At least they don't cure it, but they are a very effective treatment. And every time I hear the story, it's just still try to wrap my head around how painful these things are and how uh, effective psychedelics are. So more stories like Joe's are welcome, and that's what we're looking for, because you kind of can't you got to humanize it. Otherwise, it's easy to just to talk about psychedelics in the abstract, which raises all those kind of artifacts of hippie culture. And I even heard I was watching a Huberman Lab kind of clip yesterday on YouTube, and I think he was even kind of citing some of the, I think, propaganda from the 60s as if it were actually like harm, like self-harm stuff, that he was even citing it like it was a thing. And I'm pretty sure it's not. Some of those stories are not true, but they still live in the zeitgeist. I don't even have to repeat those stories you hear. So
Totally.
we have to kind of overcome those stories, because even the brightest of us still might think that they were true. Um,
Totally. Yeah, there's nothing that makes, especially Joe McKay's story. The first time I heard him totally brought tears to my eyes, for what he had been through. And, the other side of that story where he is, free of these headaches that were just absolutely debilitating. And so when we start seeing, like, it's not just data points, it's not just, like you said, like in sitting out there in this abstract idea of how it may help people, but actually hearing it directly from them, really helps to kind of think of these exact people within the community and how their lives can be changed similarly.
it really makes a difference. Even this weekend, I was on a panel at a kind of a cannabis job fair at a community college here, but they had a psychedelics panel, and one of the women I was sitting next to um, had, like, just, yeah, definitely a tearjerker story. But I won't try to recreate it. But nonetheless, it was definitely a tearjerker, and psychedelics helped her overcome it. And which is, and I mean, and you could tell that she was able to overcome it because this is kind of a recent trauma, and she's there talking about it, and it was amazing that she was willing to share it. So I give these people a lot of credit for sharing it from a number of perspectives. Um, so yeah, that's what we're looking for sure, because that helps people on the ground understand why it's important. Um, and of course, just we have to say as a footnote, this is not always just about the most extreme cases. The psilocybin bill is also about general wellness, but those stories are what really get you in the door. Um, and contribute your expert insights. You know, we're looking for anyone who can contribute and help us put together that database. Um, and we really welcome anyone who feels like they have insights and expertise they want to share.
Absolutely. Like, it's just like the more minds, the better, the more we can kind of pull from all these various different areas, there's a story, there's a data point, there's a something that, you never know, what it is that you have to share and how it may strike exactly perfect for part of our audience within these municipalities.
Right. And on top of that, which isn't in the slide, if you think someone who has some expert insights or someone that you want to make an introduction to, um, that I've had a couple calls today, which led to more calls, and it's led to some really great stuff. So even if you don't think you have an insight yourself, if you think someone who might know someone, that's great. And then dialogues with local officials. That's the ultimate goal, is to sit down with these local officials when we're prepared, which is hopefully in the near future, to give them, a nice solid foundation of information that they can sit on and they can think about, for the next 6 months or a year, because we're really thinking long term here. So we don't need to meet with mayors tomorrow or next week. It could be in October or January, you know. Um, but as long as we start just kind of planting the seeds, let them know we exist, and then perhaps one day they'll say, you know what, this issue's hit my desk. Let me reach out, and we'll be ready to give them the information they need, or set up meetings for who they need. Perhaps these mayors or city council they'll want a resource. They'll want a Joe McKay to bring. It won't even be us. It'll just be Joe McKay will get an intro, and then assuming he's available, he'll go down and talk with someone, and then it'll make a difference. So yeah, that's the overview. Just yeah, to recap, this is exciting. I'm really, Sarah, really happy to work with you. I'm glad somehow that we connected, and I feel like we're kind of two halves of a brain, really.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great balance of I always kind of feel like you have like this legal and more kind of the like, let's look at like this from this legal perspective, and I'm a little bit more like out and open, and so it's a great balance between each other.
Yeah, I'm hyper local. Rarely leave, rarely leave Jersey, and like very focused on policy. And you fill in all the other gaps, which is amazing. So thank you.
A little bit more of an explorer in that
Yeah,
space.
we really need that. Otherwise, we're just sitting here like talking academics, really. No, yeah. Well, thank you, and it's really exciting, and really looking forward to getting a lot of good work done, and producing a lot of good things.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited too for all of the people who end up seeing this, who feel like they want to connect, feel like they want to be involved in some way. And even if of those three opportunities, you maybe don't quite fit into either one, but you want to be involved somehow, reach out to us. And that will actually be the best thing for you to do, is utilize LinkedIn messages. We also have the website, which is posted on the LinkedIn page as well. And there's a sign up email. If, let's say, you just want to stay up to date, you can do so through LinkedIn. You can do so through the website. This video and future videos are going to live on LinkedIn as well as the website. And yeah, so I mean, if you think you might have a role to play here, or you want to be involved and you're not quite sure how yet, reach out to us and we'll set up a time for us to talk, get to know each other, and just stay connected and figure out where these collaborations can exist.
Perfect. All right. Well, talk to you on the other side, and
Definitely.
see you all soon.
Take care, guys.
Bye.